Hi guys, welcome to today's video where I'm going to be talking about what to do when you're overworked, overwhelmed, and God forbid, underpaid. I'm going to be sharing my experience of what it was like being super stressed out with my job and walking away from something that paid me over $200,000 that I absolutely love. I talked about that in a previous video, but my hope is that this video will give you the strategies that I use to basically take back control of my life. I mean, we are expected to always be switched on, always respond to emails, always put the client first. And it's even worse now that we're working from home and there's no distinction between the office place and your private space. And I know that for many people that could lead to feeling really stressed out and not, ironically, working at your optimum. So I hope that this video will encourage you to really put yourself first and also speak to your boss if necessary. I'm not just going to tell you this is how you can beat stress, but actually give you practical steps for you to go to your boss and say, look, there's way too much on my plate. And if you are working for yourself, then the onus is on you to actually put yourself first and really analyze what it is that you're doing so that you can breathe some life back into your stressed out body and mind. I mean, in the UK where I live, we are said to be the most overworked workers in the EU. So we tend to work the longest hours on average, but ironically, we're not the most productive. And in this capitalist society where we live, the onus is always on being productive all the time. And even if you work for yourself, I'm sure you have that feeling where you think, I'm not doing enough. I need to send this one email. First thing you wake up, you're checking your emails, you're being stressed out by the stuff that maybe you've seen or you haven't seen. It's just the whole cycle where your head is just overwhelmed. And if you feel like that, I am here to tell you that you are not alone. This happens to most of us. And honestly, if you don't put yourself first, your mental health, unfortunately, will suffer. And whether you have a business, whether you work for a company, you really won't be producing the best output. So for me, it wasn't until I decided to put my foot down at work and practice some of the self-care strategies that I'm going to share in this video, plus speak to my boss, that I was able to take control back of my life and feel like I was human again. So I'm going to share some of those strategies with you in this video, plus also give you practical tips so that you can present your pitch to your boss and say, look, this is what I have on my plate. This is why I feel overwhelmed. And also, importantly, you will be able to get a positive reception, because you don't want to go and speak to your boss in a way that makes you look weak. We're all human and you shouldn't be afraid to show that element. However, in a corporate space, you always need to come with solutions. And I'm going to show you how to do that later on in this video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Dels. I am a lawyer, so I know what it's like to be overworked. And also I am a career coach because I want you to be your best self. And I really, really enjoy working with people and helping them escalate up that career ladder. Plus, I'm an entrepreneur. So more about that later. But the whole point of this channel is to really help you to up level, inspire you to be your best self and achieve best in your career, your life, your work, and all of that. So if that sounds good to you, please make sure that you subscribe right now. You comment if anything I'm saying in this video resonates and it's really hitting that spot. And that you also share this video with anyone who might need it, because there's a lot of us overwhelmed people here. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back to my channel. It's great to see you again. So let's get right into it. In my experience, overwhelm, overwork, and stress really took me to a point where my mental health suffered. And I'm not ashamed to say this because so many of us sweep this under the carpet and we pretend that we're alphas, we're boss babes, and all of that stuff without realizing that you're really sacrificing parts of yourself that you really ought not to be not paying attention to. I ended up in a position where it got to a head. And as you know from my last video, this was one of the reasons why I decided to walk away or at least take a break from big law. And that meant for me walking away from around $200,000. In fact, it was way more than that, including bonuses. But it reached that point where really I had learned the lesson that money is not everything. Even though I was working in a great industry, working for a great firm, I needed a break. And that's okay too. You really have to be honest with yourself if that's where you are. There's nothing stopping you from coming back to whatever industry that you're working in. But throughout the course of your career, you should always realize that you are in the business of you. if you're not in your optimum self, what are you selling really? What are you bringing to the market as an entrepreneur? What are you contributing in your 9 to 5? And also, the most important person in this whole realm is you. If you are not feeling okay, if you're feeling stressed out, then you need to take some time out or implement some of the strategies that I'm going to talk about. And the first of those strategies that helps me with my overwhelm and stress was just speaking to someone. It could be anyone. And in fact, this happened to me today and it was completely unrelated to work. You know, when you get that feeling where you're feeling super tense, your head's about to explode, you're just overwhelmed, you're just stressed out and you just can't get it out. I know that for some people that means running off to the bathroom at work and crying. Some people like me, I would just run to my car. If I could go home for like 10-15 minutes, I live near the office, so I would drive home and just try and clear my head and get out of that office space. Sometimes it meant me going for a walk. But the thing that I found that helped the most, especially at that point of high anxiety, was to just speak to someone. And that could be a friend, a family member. It doesn't have to be your boss at this stage. But this is also one of the benefits of having a work wife or a work husband. Because when you're feeling stressed, you could just run into their office and just have a if that's what you need to do, or just get it out. Because if you don't, you are going to be holding so much tension, especially around your shoulders, and you feel it. I mean, I'm not a physiotherapist, but for example, when I would go for massages once a month, my masseuse would say, wow, what do you do? Because your calves are so tight, your shoulders are so tight. And one of the things that I noticed when I actually took a break from my job was that I was like a different person. I was renewed and refreshed, but I digress. The point is, when you speak to someone, it really helps you get some of this tension out. And it also clears your mind so that you realize, okay, maybe I have way too much stuff to do. Do I need to reorganize? Do I need to reprioritize my workload? And then you can actually, at the very least, just clear your mind and refocus, or just have a nice. The second way to deal with stress and overwhelm is for you to just get active. Like I mentioned in the first tip, I would pretty much scramble to my car if I was able to do it, or just go for a walk to clear my head. And movement really helps, because if you're working in a stressful job or you have your own business, you can find that you are so into the work that you're doing, even when you're working at home, that you don't move from the table and you're just there the whole time, grinding away. Your body is typically hunched over, which again leads to buildup of tension. Just simply moving helps you to release some of that in your body and get you moving, like get your blood circulating and things. And actually, I found that it helps me find clarity. Let me tell you, if you don't move, if you don't find time to be active, even during really busy periods, you are going to turn into a chubba chubs. And that is exactly what happened to me. At work, I would find myself just munching away distractedly. I would just reach as far as the cookie jar in the office and I would just grab that. As soon as I got the email, there's food in the kitchen, I would be one of the first people to run there to get food, because it wasn't even a distraction. It was just mindless eating and something to do to almost like get you out of that space where you're just looking at a document. And that doesn't help, because of course, if you're not moving, you're piling up the pounds. And obviously that starts to grate on your self-confidence. You're not as fit anymore. It's harder for you to get up in the morning because it's literally like you're rolling out of bed. So it's really important for you to be active. The third thing that really helped me at work when I was feeling really overwhelmed was to set boundaries. I actually forgot that one of the things that one of my previous employers said to me when I first joined is like, Adele, you're super proactive. You really get into these things. But one thing that you need to know is that you should always under-promise and over-deliver. Don't be that keen being that puts your hand up for everything. Yeah, I can do this, I can do this. I know that some people do that tact if they're trying to find their way up a promotion or really impress someone in the office. But the worst thing that you could do is put way too much on your plate and not be able to deliver. The flip side of that is telling someone that, hey, I can get this done on Friday, when you know that you can get it done by Wednesday. When you deliver it at that time, they're going to be so impressed because you initially told them that the deliverable would be given to them on Friday. So it looks then that you were really hard at work and you got these things done much earlier than that. And that is the better approach than trying to get too much on your plate and then not being able to deliver any of them properly, being stressed out because you know that you're not going to provide a good impression. I mean, honestly, this is something that so many people miss. The other thing is that you need to know how to say no. There are times, of course, in a 9 to 5 where this is tricky to do because, again, you want to make a good impression, or maybe your office doesn't have that culture. But if you don't ask, you don't get. And if you don't ask for breathing space, you are not going to get it. So always remember that it's okay to say no. Following on from that, another way to deal with overwhelm is to really be honest with yourself and also be honest about your circumstances. Are you working or doing a job that is leaving you stressed out all the time, that you don't particularly enjoy it, that you can't say no without being ripped to shreds? Then if that is the case, do you really need to be there? I don't care what the economy is like. I don't care whether there's a global pandemic or not. The point is, like I mentioned at the start of this video, is that you should be your own #1 priority. What use is it for you to stay in a job where you're unhappy and you're stressed out? You can't function even in your personal life because you have way too much on your plate or you're in a toxic work environment. Look, if that is the case, then you need to strategize and get out. And this is why I have one of the resources that I've linked below this video called my career transformation training that will show you how you can move from a role that doesn't fulfill you, stresses you out, and move from there into a position that gives you fulfillment and financially rewards you, and you can make this move regardless of the state of the economy. The link to that is going to be below this video, but the whole point of saying this at this point is that many people are not honest with themselves. I mean, a lot of us do jobs because we have to do them, but if you don't have to be in that place, then why are you staying put? You can always move. There's companies hiring right now, regardless of the state of the economy. Healthcare is thriving. You can do a career transition into those types of industries. You have options and there is no need for you to stay stuck. So the other thing that helped me with overwhelm was to always make time for my hobbies. This might sound like, what? I'm overworked. I don't have any time. But if you can find time to be on social media for at least an hour, even though you're super swamped at work, then you can find time to do something that clears your head, that makes you feel happy. And that could be something as simple as reading a book. Like I found that when I was working full-time in crazy big law, I didn't even want to see any sort of text. So for me, Netflix was a guilty pleasure, and I always wanted to watch something that was comedy, like Big Bang Theory, or something that was lightheaded because it helped me to decompress. And I won't say that Netflix is a hobby, but I knew friends at work that were into like art and things like that, and they would pursue it. And you never know, when you make time for your hobbies, then that could actually be a career transition path for you that you don't even know. So look how many people are on YouTube and they say, I quit my job to do XYZ. And a lot of the time that came about because they made time for their hobbies, and sometimes even when they were super busy at work. Now it's time for me to tell you how to present your proposal to your boss about easing your workload. Of course, this is different if you work for yourself. My previous comments still apply, and there's certain things that you could do. So in terms of like being active, making time for your hobbies and self-care, going to talk to someone if you really need to do that. But now for the people who are employed in 9 to 5, you need to know that you don't have to be afraid of your boss, even if this person is the Grinch. Again, you can always leave. You are not a tree. But if your boss is cool, if it's just a case of it's circumstantial, your transaction is maybe at a massive tipping point, then this is how I would suggest going to your boss. The first thing to do is recognize that it's okay to be weak. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be overwhelmed. However, when you're going to speak to someone about easing your workload, you need to be able to go with a clear mind. So I don't want you popping into your boss's office and knocking on the door in tears. If you need to cry, go and cry in the toilet at home, speak to a friend or something. But go to your boss with a proposal. Ask for time in their diary. And when you're going to speak to them, talk about what you're currently working on, why it's too much. And obviously don't say it is too much, but why there's a lot on your plate, what you suggest to be done about it. This is the very crucial part. You should always come with solutions. And that could be asking your boss to delegate some of that work to someone else, maybe pushing back on a few deadlines. And also, in fact, you could ask them what they suggest that you should do about the amount of work that you have. and always emphasize the fact that you want to do your best at every single task that you're given. And this is why you figured it was important for you to bring this up to your boss at that point in time. Have you guys ever been in a situation where you're super nervous about speaking to your boss about your workload? I know that I used to be, and in fact, you can see my hands like tensing a little, but I got a lot more confident when I knew that, look, I want to do a good job, and this is why I'm not able to do that. Once you've tried all the self-care and stuff and it's still not working, then it's important for you to be able to speak to the people that matter, and those are the people who are managing you. If that's not received well, like I mentioned before, there's a resource below where you can start planning your exit. But thank you guys for watching this video. If you want to know more about why, amongst other reasons, I left my super stressful job, walked away from all of that money, then the video will be linked over here. And also there'll be some more resources to help you on your career as well, dotted around this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to like, thumbs up, subscribe, share, and thank you so much. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.